Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Marky Mark. Today we're doing a Nurgle episode. It's going to be fun. And the last time we did a Nurgle episode, I was able to disgust somebody when they read it multiple times. I made them go, ew, gross. I made them say, oh, that's disgusting. And every time I do that, I feel like I made Nurgle happy. So I have Jordan here again to read with me.
No, that is not true. I get happy with glee and excitement when
I think I heard an ew icky at one point, Jordan.
Absolutely not. I love grandfather Nurgle.
And actually, we don't have Christian here where we normally have him on Friday nights, but we have a guest for the first time, Booby Jack. Hey, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be better than Christian.
Doesn't take much though. It's a low bar. It's low.
But like
people trip over it all the time and still win.
I'm still and I hope to make that bar a lot lower.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here with us. People are joining us in the chat room. I haven't seen Slain Nurgle before. Hey, how's it going? Today we're doing a Nurgle episode. Gonna be fun. Just a quick housekeeping thing. Real quick, we got a Discord. Come join us. We got Patreon. You've heard me say that a bunch of times. We got live streams. That's what's happening now. Come join us, but that's on Patreon. There, easy peasy. It wasn't that bad this time. You know, people throw such a fuss about Mark and his ads.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's it then.
Yeah,
that's it.
It was a solid ad. And now I do my ad?
No, you can skip it. Fuck it. You know. Yeah, let's get to the episode. I'm actually super hyped to talk about this episode. We did just a couple nights ago we did Chinch's version of this one, and we found some very cool, interesting cultists, or in the case of the last episode, we found Skylock, which was a Titan of Chinch that formed wings, which fucking badass, just a flying Titan like that looks like a bird. In this episode, I'm excited to kind of see what kind of crazy things Nurgle gets up to. Because, it's not just toil, boil, burns, and trouble or whatever. There's a lot more to it than just that. In this episode, we're going to talk about Nurgle real quick. Then we're going to talk about the cult of Decay, the allure to the cult. Why did people join this in the first place? The gifts of Nurgle, including demonhood, but there's many different gifts out there that we're going to be talking about. Some of them are cool third fucking... I always say third arms, but there's all types of fun gifts out there. And then we'll be talking about the actual notable forces, from Chaos Space Marines to renegades and cults. I learned a lot this episode just about Poxwalkers, Pestigors, and Gellerpox. Each kind of have a very unique vibe. They're all zombies, but all kind of different and all very fun. And then we got Night Houses, Titan Legions, and Xenos followers as well, which can be fun to speculate what kind of Xenos follow Nurgle. Or is it just the filthy humans that, swim around in their own feces that do it? But and then we'll finish this episode off with some notable servants, not demons, not, I don't know. Yeah, just not demons, they're mortal followers. So, going to be a fun episode.
Absolutely. So let's do a little overview, a quick recap on Nurgle himself, just in case anyone has forgotten. So Nurgle, the Plague Father, is the chaos god of disease, decay, and resilience, embodying the paradox of life flourishing through death. He takes a twisted joy in spreading pestilence, viewing suffering not as torment, but as a gift, offering acceptance and endurance in the face of entropy. His followers, from the bloated death guard to wretched plague cults, revel in rot and corruption. Their flesh swollen with disease, yet sustained by his foul blessings. In his foetid garden within the warp, Nurgle stirs great cauldrons of filth, forever crafting new plagues to bestow upon the galaxy.
Thank you, Papa Nurgle, for your blessings. We were talking the last episode about how Chinch has kind of the most exclusive of the cults. Not everyone's a sorcerer. Not everyone is smart. They're to be a follower of Chinch, you have to have a couple qualities before he even look at you. We're a follower of Nurgle. Look at us right now. Each one of us are just right the picking. A little less exclusive.
And a delicious broth to come with this illness soup.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
yes.
read the... Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
you can read that. So we'll talk about the cult of Nurgle. So the mortal followers that follow Nurgle.
Nurgle, the Lord of Decay, is the eternal force of entropy, his domain woven into the fabric of existence itself. Where there is life, there is rot. Where there is hope, there is the slow, unyielding march of corruption. The Plague Father's gifts are not shackles, but inevitabilities. Disease, stagnation, and the grotesque transformation of flesh are his blessings. Freeing mortals from the agony of uncertainty. It is not despair that drives his followers to him, but the promise of twisted endurance and existence. Sorry about that.
Classic. I'm gonna make her famous. Carry on.
Excellent. Another one for the clips. It is not the despair that drives his followers to him, but the promise of twisted endurance, an existence beyond suffering, where death loses its sting beneath weeping sores and bloated flesh. To worship Nurgle is not always a choice, for his touch seeps into the strongest of fortresses and the most stubborn of souls. His rot festers unseen until it blooms in full, turning the afflicted into vessels of his will. The faithful welcome this decay, calling him grandfather, for he tends to his supplicants with a perverse, affectionate care. His pestilences do not merely destroy, but reshape, granting unholy resilience to those strong enough to endure. Those who perish in his embrace are said to join him in the land of the Plague Lord, while those who praise him with fervor devotion are spared only to spread his foul gifts further.
So can Nurgle like sort of force people to follow him just by like coming in contact with his demons or something like that?
I think, kind of indirectly, I suppose, with disease and stuff.
Yeah.
In the chat,
Like-
they Slane kind of thought this out. Very sinister, playing off people's despair. Whenever his forces are weak and cut off from the warp, their booms become immediate liabilities. So yeah, at first you come in contact with that plague bearer and you get the disease and it's awful and it's a nightmare. But Grandfather Nurgle's like, okay, I can take this pain away. So that's how you get that. And then the final step is, giving into it or whatever.
Also, not to bring up my extreme wealth, but with a subscription to Warhammer Plus, they have like a Nurgle episode where a plague guard literally just walks up to some random guardsman and hands him like this beating fruit of plague, and just forces him to eat it and then go home to his family to get everyone else sick in his city. Yeah. So like, I feel like it's not of force, but it's like you get to go home and see your family. They'll get sick though, but you'll get home to see your family at least, right?
Yeah, and you can all live in the Garden of Nurgle together forever, for all time. Won't that be nice?
We love the Garden of Nurgle.
As Nurgle's compost.
Yeah.
Compost in the grandfather's blessed design. So, like,
yeah. It's not, it's not the worst fate in all of 40K.
It really isn't.
No.
I think it's the best, actually.
Champions of the Plague God are horrors of unrelenting resilience, their bodies grotesquely swollen with his corruption. yet animated by undying, feverish vitality. In the void where isolation breeds despair, many have turned to Nurgle in their final hours, seeking salvation through through the ruin he brings. Such was the fate of the Death Guard, their fleet adrift in the warp, their bodies racked by an unstoppable contagion. Not even their transhuman might could resist the great corruptor's embrace, and as their Primarch Mortarion lay rotting, he cried out, not for mercy, but for power. Nurgle answered, reshaping the fallen legion into his plague marines, blessed with eternal rot and unyielding endurance. For 10,000 years they have carried his contagions across the stars, harbingers of an endless, festering ruin.
Nice. Yeah. He it's that rot. You need them, but then the more you're around them, it just builds and festers, and you pick it out, but it's still there. But you need to. I don't like it, but it's fun for everyone involved. I think. You ever just keep picking that scab? You know,
Would you want to pick it out? Like realistically, like would any of these people want to get rid of their rot?
only so you
Rot
can
is beautiful.
flick it on things, though.
Oh,
Smear it. It's like smearing boogers on bathroom stall walls. You know.
you can't resist the bliss of smearing a solid booger.
No.
Oh, that's what people were doing. They were worshiping Nurgle.
Yeah, at the
Now I-
bathrooms at public
Yeah,
schools.
was that not what you were doing?
Yeah, I guess.
What sticky things were you leaving in the bathroom, Jordan?
I'm not telling you that, okay?
I didn't know you worshipped Slanesh, but all right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. And you cry out. You see Jordan's burgers on the wall and you cry out for release. And that's how Nurgle gets you every time. But the allure of Nurgle comes in many different ways. Not all of us like Jordan's burgers and get turned to him that way. Life in the cold, uncaring void is an endless struggle against the inevitable fate. Mortals toil and perish in service to absent gods, their suffering repaid only with silence. But the Father of Plague offers a different path, a promise of resilience, a release from the fear of decay. To those who embrace his gift, there was no despair and ruin, only the certainty of transformation. Flesh sloughs away, bone blackens with rot, but the soul endures, buoyed by Nurgle's endless festering benevolence. Decay is not the enemy. It is the unshakable truth of all existence. Metal rusts, bodies weaken, empires crumble, yet mortals claw against the tide, blind to the futility of their struggle. The ecclesiarchy's sycophants preach against corruption, warning of damnation, but the worlds crumble like old parchment against the grand cycle of death and renewal. The faithful of the Plague Lord do not fear the march of entropy. They revel in it. For in the dissolution lies strength. In sickness, revelation. Man, I can just see like Death Guard laying siege to a fortress and like not even shooting any shots, just standing there. You know, first it's for an hour, then it's for a day, and they barely move, and they're just watching the fortress. And then it turns to a week, and stuff starts to rot. Then a month, and they still are just watching it. It's just the buildup of decay. They're not even bombarding it; they're just watching it crumble on its own, and like, yes, shit stacking up on the inside as people have nowhere else to go. I love it. Like MIDI, I was just listening to something from Joe Rogan, and he had on some like vax person talking about polio and stuff, and just how much shit was just everywhere. It's just the streets were just rife with human and horse shit.
Yep.
good old days.
Yeah, when you live in that kind of environment, that's when you just start, praising Nurgle. Decay is not the enemy. There is no false duality in Nurgle's embrace, no illusions of choice. Disease, death, degradation are not separate from hope. Endurance or renewal, they are one. The gods of chaos all demand tribute, yet others exact endless striving. Or where others exact endless striving, Nurgle asks only for acceptance. To fight against decay is to invite suffering. To yield is to be free. When the fever takes hold, when the flesh peels and sloughs from the bone, those who see beyond the pain recognize love. From the carrion-ridden corpse is not the end, it is merely the beginning. And so the world rots, its wounds deepening with each festering lesion Nurgle bestows upon the universe. His experiments seep through the walls of reality, unraveling its fragile structure, weakening the cosmic edifice so that in time it will collapse entirely. The faithful of the Flylord rejoice, for they know what comes next. From the filth and the ruins, something new will arise, reshaped, blessed, and eternal. And the glorious Decay, they will have found their purpose at last. I like this visual too of like there's a moment in the fever when you start seeing things for just you start seeing more colors on the walls, things are swirling around, perhaps you're stumbling around a little bit. It can almost be fun and euphoric.
Oh, there is beauty in illness and decay. All right.
Yeah, you're telling me you haven't taken a really satisfying shit and been like, Nurgle was pleased with that one. It was messy.
That's off top. Listen,
it was
all
wrong.
Taken satisfying shits. You get up and you start floating away because that was your entire body and soul.
Yeah. You literally you're having an out of body experience taking a shit, watching yourself taking a shit.
Yeah, exactly. You shit out your soul and you watch yourself shit the rest of it. You know, it's as Nurgle intended. It's a shit cycle.
These are the dark paths that lead to Nurgle, you know, if you're not careful. You
dark
smell your
paths
fart
are
once.
Good shit. Hopefully your shit isn't dark though, because that means internal bleeding. And that would be corn.
Yes.
To bear the mark of Nurgle is to embrace a slow, unending ruin. Flesh bloats with pestilence, the body rots yet refuses to die, and pain becomes a distant memory. Such blessed decay makes the faithful all but unkillable, their forms swollen with generosity of grandfather Nurgle. Biting tongue, the champions. Actually, wait. Can I go back and just quickly talk about the rot?
Yeah.
I really enjoy the idea of like Space Marines like kind of worship their firearms, right? Where they're like, "This is my holy redemption," and then they just shoot some guy who's like some dipshit poxwalker, and it just shrugs it off and keeps coming.
Yeah, that's like pretty deflating.
Like all you know is your gun just kills shit, and like for whatever reason, this little man, he just walks up to you and like pukes on you a little bit, and that's the beginning of the end.
Yeah, you get one little scratch, and then that's the end, and you know it too if you've been fighting him for a while.
You've seen it happen to everybody around you. That I guess you know what? Good on Nurgle for that. Yeah. Nice inevitability there.
I mean, the gift of Nurgle, like to like no longer feel pain is such an advantage in battle at war. That even an Astartes really would struggle as much as they have like, you know, stimulants and whatnot to help them numb their own pain, like to just have no pain response at all. It is really like, that is a horrifying enemy to face, I would think.
Yeah. Like even if you take that and you put into like a bunch of like Imperial Guard, and now you got these Imperial Guardsmen that can literally march for days on end and outmaneuver you just by marching around.
Yeah. They
don't feel their like limbs literally like fucking like eating themselves, you know, but they're going for it.
Yeah. Liar in the chat says, what if you embrace Nurgle after that scratch? Just fully accept it. So like after you feel the pain, then you're like, okay, I can't handle this anymore. Nurgle, come save me.
Like 5 minutes in and it's not even infected. You're just like, oh no. Nurgle.
Well, in theory, Nurgle's kind and would come and save you from the affliction that he bestowed upon you.
Just
I
seems
love,
like a great guy all around.
yeah.
He's invited to the cookout. Biting tongue. The champion's tongue blackens and swells, splitting into a thick, gnashing appendage, like that of a great unclean one, ever hungry for flesh of the unblessed. Oh, so they're literally just full on zombies.
Some are, yeah. Like these are, you could get one of these different gifts of Nurgle. And with Nurgle too, and really with all the gods except Khorne, I feel like biting tongue is going to be different every time. Each time you lick the guy, you have a different disease on your tongue, or maybe now it's not blackened, it's fucking greened out and pussy.
Yeah, there's definitely some zombie coded stuff, I think, in Nurgle and
Yeah.
the followers of Nurgle. It's not just a one-to-one zombie ripoff, but there's
Well, yeah, we have like poxwalkers and like
Yeah.
Geller pox, and there are zombie viruses as well, like actual like I think they even call it like the zombie plague.
Yeah, the one the what's his face made.
Yeah, typhus. Yeah.
Blight grenades. The severed heads of Nurgle's foes, shriveled and brimming with infection, serve as potent weapons when thrown. They burst in a spray of noxious filth, sowing terror and confusion in the ranks of the living. Head game on point. Sorry.
Shit. That's so funny.
And
Little
Mark
voodoo heads just.
And Mark says in the chat, "Give biting tongue a chance." I just had
Liar
to.
Don't knock
says,
until you try.
Worst BJ ever. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue on with some of Nurgle's beautiful gifts. So the next one is corpulent immensity. Say that 10 times fast. The chosen swells with festering life, his gut distended, skin sagging in folds of putrid flesh. Pus seeps from every pore, yet his vitality only grows stronger. Man, what if you were chased by something like that? That is just... I'm gonna look up when I'm not when someone else is speaking. I'm gonna look up a picture of that and see if there are any, and bring it
I'd
up.
be scared of what aspect of his vitality is growing stronger.
The best kind. All right. Crossbreed with beast. Blessed mutation takes hold, reshaping the champion into a hybrid of horror, part beast of Nurgle. Boundless enthusiasm for decay fills his form.
This was so funny. Like, yeah, all my chicken fucking jokes. There's a Nurgle war power for that. Breed with beast. My demon Nurgle form is like half Mark, half chicken legs.
Now, is this actually crossbreeding, or is this just some sort of like either a demonic spell that is put onto someone, or like magic, basically, or be like something scientific where they clone you in a petri dish and with like beast DNA, or is this like actual copulation with with an animal?
I mean, I feel like since the warp is supposed to be hell and also an ocean, I feel like he's like picking certain things like for the irony of it, like, oh, guess what you're gonna do?
Yeah.
So I feel like they're either completely opposed to fucking dogs, or they like loved it in life, and that's what he decided to do. Like, they're definitely, you don't call it crossbreeding for nothing,
Oh yeah. No, this
gotta
was a
spread the
love
filth of
story
Nurgle.
that turned filthy for sure.
As they do.
Yeah.
All right, and our next one here, demonic name. Grandfather whispers a new name, a title dripping with ruinous powers. To be named by Nurgle is to stand equal among his demon kin. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Mark, what do you know about this? Like, what happens? What's like the practical thing that happens to someone when Nurgle whispers to them, like a new name, gives them a new name?
Yeah, like if we this is kind of the theory we were coming up with. So we'll get your take. Where when Nurgle creates his demons, he speaks their name first, and then they're like corpulent rust maker, and he says kind of that in the demon tongue, and then that power manifesting. Then that's how the demon's made. So I kind of picture when you give somebody a demonic name and you give him that same demonic name, you give him that power. So it's not necessarily like this is different, slightly different than demon princehood, where you actually become a full demon. Now you can manifest warp stuffs and like it seems to be different for sure.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
he's like naming, but like, are you saying he's like if it's some random dude and he's like, I like you, I'm gonna name you after one of my demons, or are you saying like he's creating demons with this?
No, yeah, like he's naming immortal with a new blessing, essentially. So think of the name more so not like a name like you're George. It's like the blessing that he's been given. Because when you look at like demonic names, their name usually means what they're kind of, angry McSmashy would be a great Khorne demon name in the Dark Tongue. So yeah, I kind of picture you when you give immortal a demon name, you kind of give them a little bit of that demonic power of demonic McSpashy, or whatever kind of power you're kind of imposing on him. Like just he's stronger, keep it simple.
Now, do other chaos gods have some sort of power similar to this where they can like give these spells or new names to people to give them power, demonic powers?
Yeah. This is not Nurgle specific thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it just seems like maybe the other thing too that comes along with it, like you said, now demons kind of see you on that equal footing. You have power over the demons if you have power over, the Black Tongue or something.
Liar just asked a really good question. He asked if you're like then tied to the name given to you.
Yeah, like I would imagine if people start knowing your true name, then they start using it against you for sure. It's that double-bladed sword. But
also, I would assume maybe this is just more conjecture, but like if a specific chaos god like Nurgle gives you a new name, he's almost like giving you a disease of his or something. Like it's probably going to start rotting you. Like you're never going back to just like who you were before, like it's going to start changing you from the inside very slowly, but surely, like an infection,
Yeah.
Hate to be herpes.
This is my champion, herpes.
Fight them, AIDS!
Get him, AIDS!
Oh,
the STDs won't let me be me, so let me see.
MC Jordan in the house.
Oh, man. Yeah, fun. Demonic or demon weapons are always fun. A nice little gift you could get. In Nurgle's cases, he'll often hand you a blade or a cudgel, something thick and encrusted with filth, and home to a bound plague bearer or other demon. These weapons are known as plague bringers, and they weep disease with every swing. Yeah, I can just kind of imagine this like, those bubble makers as a kid, where you have like the little hole and you dip stuff in, but it's a sword that makes bubbles of pox that you're just flinging across the battlefield. Landing on Imperial guardsmen, it's just popping and like spewing all.
Or you just, or it's like almost like a finger contraption where it flicks. Like
oh no!
I feel like he's
when
like
you least expect
it out of his
it.
mouth. Like they do it, like big like slobber snot bubbles, just like
yeah.
It's got to be something putrid.
Yeah. Okay. Well, bend over. I got another suggestion for you. Now, the face of the plague bearer Flesh sloughs away, leaving a single bulbous eye glaring from a sagging face. A lone gnarling horn juts from the brow, marking the bearer as a truly favored. And the face of the beast. 3 days I battled the beast. The head reshapes into obscene mass, the beast of Nurgle ringed by the paralytic tendrils, eager to embrace the untainted in a cloying grip. Yeah. It's cool how you can kind of get these half demon body parts. With Chinch, you often would get like a pink horror flaming arm or something like that. Where these, you're getting some heads and stuff, some horns.
That's rad. I love Nurgle. He mix matches everything he can, and he makes it all gross. And you gotta love it.
It's all beautiful.
You have to. It's inevitable. You have to.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
No, it's just. What are you not gonna rot and die? I love rotting. Me personally, I love rotting.
Give me a bag of Doritos and let me rot on that couch for a day or two. I'll be happy. Happy as a clam.
Bloated already. Let's go for it. The face of Nurgle, a visage swollen with decay, great clumps of rotting flesh falling to reveal the corruption beneath. Yet the eyes shine with grandfather's twisted mirth, a gleeful warmth in the filth. So you're just like slowly turning into like Nurgle?
Yeah, you get that nice, your cheeks start getting pudgy. Start stinking a little bit.
Cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nurgling infestation, where the champion treads a chittering tide of Nurglings follows, birthed from bursting boils and feeding on the ceaseless slaw of dead skin. Their hunger knows no end. Nurgle's cloud of flies. A thick buzzing swarm swirls around the champion, shielding him in a constant storm of filth. They harry and confuse all who would dare strike him. So they took that one out of the Tau playbook.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, let's here's the next one. Nurgle's rot, the famous one. A disease beyond mortal comprehension, a slow, inevitable ruin that blisters flesh and warps the soul. The afflicted are left in agony until they embrace grandfather's embrace, becoming one with the festering tide. And the next one, pandemic staves. Carriers of the warp's most insidious plagues, these weapons leak disease into the Imperium, loosing untold sickness upon the battlefield. And then finally, Plague Sword, a blade slick with putrescent pus, carrying a sickness so vile that even the slightest wound festers into a fatal rot.
Yeah, I love just like you're in a swords battle with another, against a Nurgle plague guy. And you think you won, you stabbed him many times, and then he nicks you once, but you recover, and you cut off his arm and he falls back. Day goes by, you die. Meanwhile, the plague guy, he's like still fine. He's like, I fell over, but like, it's not a big deal.
It really is the definition of losing the battle but winning the war,
Yeah.
That's how
you're
Nurgle
just
does
like
it.
so sure that like, no, this was fine. Meanwhile, you've been breathing his shit air for the last 25 minutes. Like, it's not fine. You lost.
Yeah, exactly. You basically lost when you came within like 30 feet of the guy. Like, it's already over.
Yeah.
Good thing Space Marines have they're completely sealed in their environment in their suits.
Yeah,
right? Nothing bad could affect them at all. They can't take poison damage whatsoever.
They're fine in there.
Yeah, excellent.
Some more gifts of Nurgle. The Plague Banner, a tattered stretch of rotting hide, flapping in an unseen pestilent breeze. It snaps to life from the... It snaps the very little... Oh, it saps, not snaps. No N. It saps the very life from those who dare stand against Nurgle's blessed corruption. Rot proboscis. Like the flies that haunt the warp, the chosen regurgitate acidic bile, dissolving prey into wretched slurry, fit for consumption. Little mama bird, mama fly. And
could you imagine you just get like covered in rot proboscis and like at first you're like, I'm wet for some reason. What is this? You don't realize you're like about to get eaten.
Yeah.
Gross.
The trail of slime. Every step leaves behind a glistening track of mucus decay, rich with infection. To touch it is to risk a slow, agonizing death. Yeah, man, like, what is the cleanup operation after you fight Nurgle?
I don't know.
I feel like you just send a bunch of people you already want dead to clean it up, and then they just die slowly, so you put them on a box and you just shoot them up into space.
All right, Christian, we got a new assignment for you.
I think the only real way to clean that mess is just for the God Emperor of mankind to come and nuke the planet you're on with you on
the
it.
light of the Emperor's precious nukes is a holy cleansing flame.
Split the earth, let the core putrefy our flesh.
Well, that combined, yeah. That's a Nurgle follower. Get him!
Oh. On to the next of his many gifts, because he's rad. Venom Sting, a barbed appendage engorged with poison, so potent that even the most hardened warrior crumbles from a single scratch. To walk Nurgle's path is to know the truth of existence, that all things must rot, and through rot life is renewed. Those who resist shall crumble, while the faithful endure glorious, unending decay.
Nice.
I do like that sort of sentiment, in that like Nurgle perhaps is the only chaos god who isn't just like completely nihilistic. You know, he actually does. It's like that. Hear this quote that all things must rot, and through rot life is renewed. You know, it's like Nurgle exists for this sort of circle of life, this cycle, whereas like other gods just it's all about destruction and nihilism, and you know,
or like Malal Malice is like more of the true kind of entropy, where it's like he wants more of the heat death of the universe type thing, where even like
Slaanesh, it's like you know, it's just like a race to the bottom of debauchery and whatever your addiction might be, and like I don't know, there's something kind of nihilistic in that even.
Sure. Yeah, like it's like I heard entropy kind of described, or maybe this is more like moralistic entropy, we could call it, but like, does this path lead to flourishing or not? Like, is this gonna add 10 years to your life or not? And chances are good anything Slaanesh related is not gonna be adding to your life.
Yeah.
Well,
therefore entropy.
I mean, my thing is, I don't think like anything you can say Nurgle does is like in any amount nihilistic, because you live forever under Nurgle. Live, but like he literally says, while the faithful endure inglorious unending decay, they live in his realm forever as long as they're in his realm.
Yeah, and like I suppose if matter cannot be created nor destroyed, I suppose maybe you're just like literally then sent to Nurgle, where you're decay and you regrow into that tree that then decays, and you're just doing this cycle over and over, and you still are almost aware of your base self, but you're still part of this like decay process.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
the ultimate goal. That's heaven for a Nurgle follower.
You can't hate it, you know? I mean, you live forever. You rot real cool. You smell awful. And
Yeah.
But you get
who
used
doesn't
to the
like that?
smell, so no
Yeah,
big
yeah.
deal.
Well, your nose rots off. That's like the first thing to go.
Yeah.
And then it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about demonhood. To ascend to demonhood in the service of Nurgle is to embrace the eternal cycle of decay and renewal, to surrender flesh and soul to the slow, inevitable embrace of rot. It is not a mere transformation, but a festering rebirth, where the mortal's form withers under the caress of the grandfather's touch. Even as their spirit swells with his boundless generosity, the price of such a gift is steep. One must relinquish all resistance, allowing corruption to take root in marrow and mind alike. Their body becomes a bloated testament to entropy, seeping pus and writhing with nurglings birthed from their own putrescent wounds. Uh, their thoughts grow thick and sludge-like, steeped in an endless patience that only the Lord of Pestilence can bestow. Strength does not fade, but festers, becoming something slow, relentless, and unstoppable. Demonhood in Nurgle's embrace is not a curse nor a reward. It is simply the way of all things. Flesh crumbles, empires fall, yet persists in the filth. Those who accept this truth are made eternal, walking icons of disease and resilience, spreading Nurgle's gifts with every oozing step. It is fate that none can escape. It is a fate that none can escape, and those who resist merely delay the inevitable.
Yeah. Like, isn't that just it? Like, you can kind of accept Nurgle's gonna get you, and you might get some cool gifts. And if you do a good job, you might even get turned into a demon prince. If you don't, your fate's gonna be the same as if you do, except you're gonna feel it more. You're gonna turn into a pile of sludge eventually, either which way you go about it. But you'll be a happy sludge, or you won't be. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Sounds like my mom yelling at me.
Go clean your room, says the God Emperor. Keep Nurgle at bay.
The cute Nurgle watching me from my closet, telling me that I don't have to clean my room and I can be happy.
You don't have to wipe. I love the meme where it's like, get up,
Let it
shit,
crust.
get out of bed.
Born to
Let it
shit,
crust.
forced to wipe. Let it crust. Be
Oh,
American.
man.
Simple as.
Goddamn. You fucking Americans are savage. Even
Yeah.
Canadians. I got a bidet down in Panama, and it is nice. And now every time I leave the country in my house, I'm like, what is happening? Back to like smearing shit on my ass? What are we doing here?
Listen. There's a way around it. I'm just saying. Born to
Don't-
shit, forced to wipe, and you know, you don't have to be forced to do anything.
Hey, ain't no government's gonna tell me how to wipe my
If
ass.
the government says you can't steal stop signs. Steal a stop sign. You know,
Steal it.
you're a
Shove it up
goddamn
your ass.
patriot.
No
You're a
man
goddamn-
can tell you.
That's it. Didn't start out that color. I assure you, I bled, and that's why corn loves me. You must steal. You must shit, and you must not wipe. Blessed be
Yeah.
Nurgle.
Wow, what a game changer for me. I feel awakened in a new occult identity of filth.
Exactly. You know, let yourself crust.
Yeah. Well, like Nurgle's gonna get you either way. That Nurgle corruption, it comes in hard. Like I said, you can accept her, it's gonna get you. Nurgle, the Plague Lord, is the inevitable reckoning of all flesh, the slow, unrelenting ruin that creeps through the living thing. He is the manifestation of mortality's dread, the festering certainty that all things rots, all bodies fall, and all life withers into dust. Yet the decayed embrace of the Lord of Pestilence, there is an escape, a twisted salvation that spares his chosen from the suffering as it reshapes them into grotesque parodies of their former selves. Few come willingly to the Fly Lord's service. Most are driven by desperation, soldiers ridden with gangrenous wounds, outcasts shunned for their contagion, Jordan just because he's lonely, the dying who claw at the existence for one more breath. In their surrender, they are granted resilience beyond comprehension, their bodies broken, swollen with disease, yet immune to its ravages. The touch of Nurgle does not kill, it transforms. Skin blackens and sloughs from bone. Organs liquefy into seeping pus. Yet through it all, his followers remained unbowed, unbroken, sustained by his boundless, festering generosity. Humanity, ever terrified of oblivion, makes up for the bulk of his faithful, battering their souls for the illusion of survival. Champions of Nurgle stride across the battlefields as living plagues, their corpulent frames spilling foulness with every step. Their resilience an affront to nature itself. They are riddled with the mutations too grotesque to name. They do not suffer, they feel nothing but warmth, a narcotic euphoria that grows with every suppurating wound. In putrefaction, they find purpose. In corruption, they find strength. And in Nurgle, they find eternity. Yeah. Man, like, where is the line between these Nurgle diseases and these warp Nurgle diseases? And like, kinda, I think it was, sorry, I forget who said in the chat, just like, what happens when Nurgle's there? How much more powerful his diseases are? And then, you know, you get cut away from him. Now Nurgle kind of left you, and you're just left with like the disease part, and not like the warp joy blessing part of it. Ugh.
I mean, maybe he does like what the Nids do, where like he has like a higher power that like comes down and like spreads the joy of the disease for him while he's not there.
Yeah.
Because everything it sounds like he seems really like Nid coded.
A little bit. It's very like biological, kind of like
Yeah.
how Tyranids are. Yeah.
Also, I looked up suppurating. I looked up how to say it because I thought I was going to be the one to say it. So I actually looked it up and yeah.
And what did we learn?
Awful word. It means, hold on, I have it right here. The discharging of pus from a wound, sore, etc. The discharge itself. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm glad it's got a name. You know.
Yeah, I didn't know we just named discharge something else, but
yeah.
All right. The more you know. Discharge.
Yeah. Fucking gross, man. I was listening to, I hate to bring up this Joe Rogan podcast again, but man, they're talking about all the shit they put in vaccines. Like, yeah, we just scrape the pus off of an infected cow uterus and we mix it up with some rat fucking piss, and here you go. Enjoy, you plebes. It's crazy shit, man.
Isn't that how vaccines were like invented? Was like infected cow pus, rubbing just a little bit on you to get you slightly infected, basically.
Yeah, truly Nurgle-ish shit, man.
I don't know if that's like, is that what would be the technical term for that? Is that vaccination or immunization? Because there is actually, yeah, I've heard there's like actually a difference. They're not exactly the same. But.
Yeah, those differences are just so you can't sue people when they fucking put cow pus inside of you and you die from a brain aneurysm.
But at least,
but that's neither here nor there.
At least the grandfather would be happy, and the grandfather is intensely happy with the chat right now as they're channeling their inner Nurgle, talking about bidets and how they wipe their ass or
lack thereof.
Yeah.
I wonder who said they preferred crusting it. Yeah, I don't. That guy seems pretty cool, I think.
Oh man, they'll also give me a hard time. Actually, Mark, that's inoculation. Listen, either way, get your cow pus away from me.
Yeah, keep it in the perfumes where it belongs.
And in my milk.
Yeah. I love pus.
Mark already has autism. He doesn't need any more.
I already have a low dose of it. Please, no more. Thank you.
Like, if you collect all of the vaccinations, do you become the uber autism?
I'll leave that to the people in the chat. They're better suited for that kind of endeavor, I think.
Yeah, everybody look up Sonic references and
yeah,
inject yourselves with the Infinity vaccines.
Yeah, that will turn you into a spondum for sure.
A spondum? Man, if only we talked about what that was. Segue. A spondum. Chaos spawn are the abhorrent remnants of those who sought to conquer death and decay, only to be consumed by the unyielding rot of Nurgle. Those once hopeful souls, craving immortality and ascension through daemonhood, have been transformed into sickening abominations, twisted by the relentless festering embrace of the plague god. Their bodies, ravaged by a never-ending cascade of corruption and disease, are unrecognizable, and their minds broken by the suffocating weight of Nurgle's indifference. Teeter on the edge of madness. The path to power they once envisioned, bathed in the promise of eternal life, has become their undoing, as they are discarded by their patron, deemed too weak to be nurtured or redeemed, forsaken by any who once shared their aims. They are reduced to little more than walking horrors, driven to battle as mere instruments to Nurgle's endless, inexorable plague, whether they appear as pitiful twisted horrors or towering decaying monstrosities. The Chaos Spawn are living testaments to Nurgle's ceaseless reign, forever reshaped, forever corroded, bound to a cycle of death and decay that spirals ever deeper.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about the extreme degree of like power going through a human and how that would turn him into something. Like with Nurgle, you see him just like he's got every disease, he's falling apart. It's like mutating out of control, growing just as much as it's dying. With Chinch, it's like flickering energies where it's like it's almost unstable, where it can't maintain its own form. You know, it's like that flickering in and out of reality, and just kind of cool to think about how different spawns would kind of appear depending on which god they failed.
Oh, so you have to fail?
Yeah, like becoming a spawn is like if you have two choices as a follower of a god, you can either eventually get demonhood, which is the goal, or you can turn into a spawn if you fail. Either, you know, you try to go for demonhood and you absorb too much power and then that breaks you, or you did something that failed the god. He's just like, fuck you, here's your spawn now. And you're just a gibbering mesh. There's no more nothing for you at that point. Like no reality.
So does Nurgle make you rot less as a punishment? Like he's like, whoa, I'd say get shit on, but nope, get cleaner.
That's for my favorite people.
Yeah, I love shitting.
Yeah, what would that look like? Yeah, I. Somebody mentioned go look at like the Great Unclean One model that's like green stuffed and filed smooth, and it's just like this giant naked fat man. Yeah.
Living
Yep.
the dream,
It's the most spawn-like thing I've ever seen.
All right, shall we get into some of the notable forces of the Cult of Decay? So like the other Chaos Gods, Nurgle's putrid embrace extends across the galaxy, drawing followers from all mortal species, their bodies and souls willingly offered to the Plague God's eternal cycle of decay. Nurgle's devotees stand in eternal opposition to the machinations of Chinch, not through cunning schemes, but with the slow, inevitable weight of entropy. Where the changer of ways spins intricate plots, Nurgle's faithful drown them in stagnation, smothering ambition with the suffocating embrace of rot and ruin. They understand a simple truth: all things wither, all things succumb, and in the end, what remains belongs to Grandfather Nurgle. Their corruption spreads, not through deception, but through the inescapable march of decay, ensuring that what endures beyond the fall is his to claim. The Church of the Fly Lord welcomes all, for in the warmth of his diseased grasp, none are ever truly turned away.
Do you think that which of the Chaos Gods do you think likes being worshipped the most? You know, we kind of get a vibe with Nurgle that he kind of almost likes it. He'll give you his blessing, but he also likes the worship side of things. What do you guys kind of think?
I mean,
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that yeah, he probably likes it, but again, it like depends on how you worship him. Like you could maybe argue Korn likes to be worshipped too.
Just make sure you're doing it the right way, which is
Yeah,
murder.
yeah. I feel like maybe Cheech would be like the one who perhaps least who if you're framing the question in that way, like the opposite is like who least cares about worship. I would almost think Cheech because he just maybe even Malal, I don't know. But just like uh Cheech likes to throw a wrench in things, right? And so to him, I think it maybe matters less if in fact in some instances, some circumstances, like lack of worship might actually serve his purposes, but
Yeah.
you could conceive that. But yeah, it does seem like because Nurgle is so it's all about like growth, and even the decomposition serves the growth of Nurgle's sort of kingdom. So I would think he definitely enjoys his worship, but he also loves his worshipers the most,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
I feel like the way it's really being described, it's a lot more religious than every other god. Where it's like it's like they pray to like for Korn, for example, they pray to him for power, right? Whereas with Nurgle, all they're doing is just praying to him because they love him, and like I feel like the love is reciprocated, which is the only reason why they're like
yeah,
super into it.
which I think is like maybe unique among the Chaos Gods. Like even though Nurgle's way of showing you love is to like turn you into a festering boil and uh, decompose you. It to him, like through his prism of viewing the universe, that is like a very loving thing, right? And I don't know that you could say the same about the other gods.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest I would say is maybe Slanesh, but like that's like on a almost a kink side of it, where it's like I love being worshipped. I don't care about any of you, but I love your worship. Whereas I feel like Nurgle's like a reciprocated kind of.
Sure.
Oh, you love me? I have
Yeah.
some illness.
I like you too, buddy. Yeah, no, that's a good way to see that for sure.
Like that's. But I think
Which is why
Slanesh
everyone should follow Poppy Nurgle.
Might as
grand
well.
copy.
Yeah.
There have been many Chaos Space Marines that have fallen to Nurgle. We'll talk about some of them now. Chaos Space Marines who fall to Nurgle are not lured by ambition or thirst for knowledge, but by the slow, inevitable embrace of rot, endurance, and the comfort of surrender. They do not seek to reshape the future, for they understand that all things decay, and in that decay lies true power. These warriors are not bound by treachery or deceit, but by the grim resilience, accepting the gifts of Grandfather Nurgle with unwavering devotion. Their bodies, corroded yet unyielding, become bloated with unholy vitality, their armor fused with festering flesh and oozing with the blessings of disease and putrefaction. They march not as schemers, but as an unstoppable tide, spreading contagion and despair with each step, knowing that in the end all will rot, and all that remains will belong to the plague god. To serve Nurgle is not to chase power, but to embrace the inevitability of corruption, to endure, to suffer, and to rise again, uncaring, unbreakable, and eternal. My rocks rotted off, says Liar. Jack says, I knew they got my rocks off, so very nice. Jordan just pulled up a nice picture there of some Death Guard. Death Guard are the primary Space Marines that, the primary Legion that fall to Nurgle for sure. We will do an episode on them eventually. We're working our way through. But until then, I'll read a little blurb about these bad boys. Man, I love the white helmets and stuff.
I like how they're all like the old art, like marks of power armor.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't upgrade anything. They're just here to fuck shit up.
Yeah. Well, they're not taking that shoulder guard off. It's attached to their mouth stomach arm now. It's fine.
You're still muted, Jordan.
Oh, sorry. The mouth stomach just is so great. I just love
Maybe it like spits out ammo for you.
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a
Here,
Batman.
hold this. Yeah, it's like holding your gun for you and shit when you need to.
And shit.
And shit when you need to. The Death Guard are not merely a traitor legion. They are the festering embodiment of Grandfather Nurgle's will. Their every step spreading the caress of his generous decay. Their flesh is rotting testament to his boundless gifts, eternally slothing away, yet never truly dying, reborn in the endless cycle of corruption and resilient. Yet, there was a time when these warriors stood as the most indomitable of the Emperor's legions. Once they were the 14th, known as the Dusk Raiders, sons of Terra, clad in the unyielding armor, bred for endurance and tenacity, forged in the crucible of the Great Crusade. They moved like an unstoppable tide, unflinching in the face of death. Their gray armor bore the crimson mark of the Emperor's justice, a relic of old Albia's bloodied warriors, and they stood amongst the finest of the Legion Astartes. And then we have a whole bunch of shit that happens to them that, like I said, we won't get to, but we'll pick it up with the fall of the Imperium's light. Mortarion led his children into the Eye of Terror, where to a world that would be reborn in his image. The Plague Planet, a grotesque echo of Barbarous, became the Death Guard's new cradle of filth, where the air itself teemed with infection, and life and death became one and the same. While the other traitor legions fractured and warred amongst themselves, the Death Guard endured, bound together by their endless afflictions, their grotesque purpose. Now they march once more, their ranks swollen with the damned, their husk pouring forth through the Cadian Gate and into the void beyond. They do not seek conquest alone. They bring gifts, the sacred afflictions of Nurgle, to share with the galaxy. To those who resist, they offer suffering. To those who embrace, they offer promise of eternity. And to all, they grant the unrelenting, joyous decay of their eternal patron. Yeah, they're the poster boys of filth. There's a whole bunch of cool war bands too that they're broken down into, and on Lexicanum and stuff, you can read a bunch of different just specialties or what they're up to and all that. I chose a couple. I chose the Cleaved and the Deathbringers, which I thought they were cool, and we'll get into them.
Yeah, the Cleaved are no mere warband. They are vessels of ruin. Their very essence steeped in filth and the inexorable decay of Grandfather Nurgle. Their bodies, long since surrendered to corruption, are sheathed in rusted ceramite that seeps a thick oil-black ichor from every joint, as if the armor itself bleeds in mournful exultation. Pain, once a barrier to mortals, has become meaningless to them. Wounds fester but never close, agony lingers but never weakens. They endure, not in defiance, but in worship of entropy itself. Their arrival upon the stage of history was heralded in death and madness. When rebellion tore through Magma Cordelion, the loyalists of the Iridian 334th Regiment clawed their way to the planetary governor's palace, its walls shattered by relentless artillery fire. Yet in their desperation, they failed to see the grander scheme. The palace itself was no mere stronghold. It was a vast, unholy summoning circle, its corridors inscribed with filth-ridden sigils, its foundations steeped in rot. As the guard breached its desecrated halls, the veil was torn asunder. The cleaves stepped forth, shambling avatars of corruption, their presence heralded by the stench of carrion and the slow, wet drip of their own diseased lifeblood. The Iridian 334th never stood a chance. The slaughter was neither swift nor merciful in the wake of their butchery. The cleave did not simply secure the planet for the traders, they consecrated it, leaving only ruin, rot, and the eternal mark of their festering god.
The one cool thing I liked about these guys was just if you're building them on tabletop and doing some modeling, or even just for the image in your mind, is their one blessing is that they leak ooze from all the joints in their armor, and then with that ooze, all the disease and stuff that goes with it. But just, yeah, they're wearing this pristine armor that's just leaking at all the joints, running down, gunking it all up. Just this black, thick sludge. Yikes.
Yum,
Yum, yum.
I think this is the only Nurgle Legion that I've ever been super into.
Yeah, it's very fun. Have you seen pictures of them?
No, never.
I'll see if I can find some.
Yeah, if only we had.
Yeah, they're
physical.
they're like lighter color, like silver or something.
So they're silver, but they like ooze black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some pictures of it. You don't see maybe. Yeah, this one might.
I mean,
have some.
it's hard to see it if they're not like already painted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's while we're looking at that, let's get into the Deathbringers.
Yeah.
They are not merely a warband. They are the heralds of finality, the merciful executioners of Grandfather Nurgle's will, cloaked in the gifts of their benevolent patron. Their flesh is little more than a festering ruin, their bodies kept in a mockery of life by the malign workings of dark technology. To rot is to rejoice. Amen. To decay is to endure. And so they persist, with withered husks, moving ever forward in service to the plague god. Unlike others who revel in the intimacy of disease-ridden slaughter, the Deathbringers prefer to deliver their gifts from afar. Their weapons belch pestilent fire, their shells carry virulent afflictions, and their very presence is a death sentence to those who would resist the embrace of corruption. They do not grant a swift end, for that would be unkind. No, they bring slow, lingering dissolution, each shot a whisper of the entropy that will one day claim all things. Yet, even among the blighted, the camaraderie festers. The Deathbringers have found kinship in the Plague Bones, another warband blessed with Nurgle's generosity. Bound by shared purpose and mutual decay, they march together in joyous ruin, spreading the touch of their patron across the void. In their company, there is no fear, no sorrow, the ever-expanding rot, the beautiful inevitability of corruption, and the certainty that all shall, in time, become one with the plague god's endless cycle of death and rebirth. And everyone said amen.
Amen.
Blessed be thy Nurgle.
What I really liked about these guys was just kind of this artillery aspect to them, where they're just launching horrific disease things at people. I think of the scene in Lord of the Rings when they're just catapulting human heads back into Minas Tirith, and just like what that does to people on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I was thinking about those big, like, rot-filled cows full of cow pus that they would launch on catapults at, like, over siege walls and stuff.
Fuck yeah, man! And they just explode on a wall as
just
they impact.
fucking gross shit everywhere.
I'm sort of reminded of I may have mentioned this on a previous episode, but when the Spanish invaded Tenochtitlan, which was the Aztec city that occupied the area, which is now Mexico City, when they had their like famous battle there, really what killed the Aztec, because the Aztec outnumbered the Spanish probably 10-1, but the battle lasted like weeks, and what actually killed them was just disease. Like they had gotten so disease ridden, they were just like falling by the hundreds, and eventually the Spanish were able to just kind of wait them out, and then eventually just come in and kill the sort of final living sick people, sick soldiers.
Yeah.
While they were but you know, the mistake that the Aztecs made was they didn't they must have been because during that time they were actually they were capturing Spanish soldiers and sacrificing them in their temples. And you know, like their ziggurats at the top of the temple, they would sacrifice them so that the Spanish could see and hear them in order to like instill fear in the Spanish. And this is one thing they did, but they must have been worshiping corn because they got no help from Nurgle because Nurgle came and killed them all. So
Yeah. They definitely had the bodies in the skull piles though going. Definitely had that.
And they did all the drugs that Slanesh told them to.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they needed the grandfather's love in order to overcome that challenge. Unfortunately, it was to not. But
it's like hard to imagine that level of like not only violence but just like disgust and like bodies literally stacked up. I just watched the movie Apocalypto, and they just had mounds of headless dead bodies at the bottom of those things, and just how many flies and filth and disease would have just been in those, man.
The stink alone.
Yeah. What the fuck?
I loved Apocalypto. It didn't like a lot of people don't like the movie, but I thought it was awesome. But just me.
I liked it. Yeah, I had a good time from start to finish.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, great time.
I want to be chased. That's why I moved to Panama, to be chased by a bunch of Aztecs, but it's yet to happen.
You can make them angry enough with that Aztec death whistle. Maybe you can summon them like that.
Maybe. Every now and again, I do hear beating drums on the island. Dun, 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 dun. Yo, okay, I shit you not. I was talking to my yard guy today, and he's like, "You want to go hunt some monkeys?" I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, "Yeah, you want to go hunt some monkeys and we'll go eat a monkey?" I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to go eat a monkey with you. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do? He's like, I just go climb the tree and just chop him with my machete. I'm like, are you fucking with me? Like, can you tell me
like
you just
slingshot him?
No, I guess he just goes and climbs the tree and chops them, and then he barbecues them. He's like, but you gotta, when you barbecue, you gotta cut the heads off, the hands off, and the feet off. Otherwise, it's too much like a human. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I have heard this is a practice in South America that they eat monkeys, but man, they're just too like genetically similar to humans. I just couldn't do it.
I would eat a monkey.
He said it was
no. It's the one thing I can't do it. No.
I feel like there's only like a police record stopping me from eating a person. So I feel like I could definitely like just down a few monkeys.
All right, well, Jack, come on down to Paradise Reef. We'll go hunt monkeys together with my yard
We'll go
guy.
climb a tree and slash it with our machetes instead of like any other aspect of killing a monkey.
Yeah, I don't know if I do it with Bob after what he just said, because
we're here for the monkey, all right. I'm not gonna hunt people yet.
Yeah. You know what? As long as he's not fucking them monkeys, because that's my monkey ass.
I
don't
you
care
had
what
the
he gets
chickens.
Up to. Everything on the island is technically my domain. I am man. Hear me moan.
Hear monkey.
Oh God. Okay, should we move on to renegades and cultists and not fucking monkeys for Nurgle?
I had one non-monkey related question.
Oh, that's good. Yes, take us away.
So what were those things that were like horrible to fucking raise, but they eat like rocks and shit, so they're cool. So the Imperium just has them all over the place.
Oh, like groks?
Were those what they were called?
Yeah,
Because
like
I remember they were like big hardy fuckers, and they only ate
the
rocks.
Imperium's cow.
Yeah, so like that could definitely do some damage to like a wall if you launched it at a wall. and you have the guy that's fucking all the animals. The animal.
He doesn't need a title. His job, he doesn't even ask for one. He does it for the joy.
No, but like we
not
already
about
talked about
for
this
that
guy,
man.
the crossbreeder or whatever his name was. So he goes around, he fucks all the groks, and they all get sick, and then they launch the groks at the wall when they're full of plague pus, And then
Yes.
the Imperium gathers the pus and uses it for their vaccinations.
Oh, perfect. That they
Full
put in the
circle.
yeah. And anyone who dies due to that horrific process, they turn into corpse starch.
And
You
since
get to
you
eat them that way.
have the pus on your skin, you can eat them and not worry about getting sick. Yeah, you gotta do the hand motion.
Delicioso.
Muy caliente. Yeah.
Oh god. Okay,
A
renegades.
liar in the comments says, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's the thing about the beast breeder, isn't it? That's the beauty of that job.
He loves breeding, and if it's a beast, it's a beast.
It's a beautiful thing.
He's never had the touch of a woman. But
Never
he has
wanted
had
one.
the touch of the beast.
Never needed it.
Never
Never
needed
needed
it.
Who needs women when you have monkeys and trees?
Yeah.
He doesn't even throw a rock at him. He just goes. They just chill up there
like,
while he climbs up.
Honestly, like I'm like, are you serious? Like you're not just fucking with me because I'm some white guy here. He's like, no man, like I'm serious. Let's go kill some monkeys and eat them. Like let's go climb some
you
trees
had me on
together.
everything else. I was just
Yeah.
like, you fucking go up there. Like they don't fuck off.
Well, where they can't fly, where are they gonna go?
Well, they just jump to another tree, right? Or like, are you hunting in an area that is just a plain with one tree in the middle and it's full of monkeys?
Like that's the monkey hunting tree. We go there to get dinner.
Now I know you
all
have
the other
like
trees.
I know you have like probably smaller monkeys around where you are, but like if you ever like ran into a primate or something, that thing would like seriously fuck you up, man. If
I
you
could
tried
fight a gorilla.
if you tried to fight it.
I could fight a gorilla.
Even he's like, if you see one with the mom and the baby, don't go after it. It's not worth the hassle. They'll fucking die before they let you do anything. Like, yeah.
So he's like, he tried.
Oh yeah, no, this guy's been living out on the island, ganking all types of creatures.
Don't fuck a great ape, liar. I guess that's close enough to not be bestiality.
Yeah, like whatever. It's your cousin. Who cares, liar? You can fuck who you want. Love is love.
It's like, yeah, love is love. Nurgle is love. Nurgle is life.
All right, let's move on.
Renegades and cults.
Oh yeah. I forgot we were doing a podcast.
Yeah, fuck. I was doing the OnlyFans again. Fuck. I always lean into that one.
The
halfway
only monkeys.
Yeah. Mortals and renegades and cultists are the festering servants of Nurgle, each a reflection of the slow creeping corruption that claims all things. Some are lost souls who've turned from the Imperium, not for ambition or greed, but to escape the crushing weight of suffering, only to find solace in the plague god's embrace. These renegades are not wild seekers of power, but weary, unbreakable husks who endure while others would fall, their bodies swollen with disease yet unnaturally resilient. They march through battle unshaken, spreading decay with each step, knowing that in Nurgle's embrace, pain becomes comfort, and death is but the promise of renewal. Yeah, the one guy the other day, I think it was Brody, was talking like, oh, sweet, my finger just fell off. Isn't that fucking cool? Like how like that sensation of feeling your rotten finger fall off is so enjoyable. And I'm like, oh. I didn't like it, but he seemed to like it.
Do you remember when you were like a little kid and you had a loose tooth? And it would just be like it would be hanging on by like one little fucking like shell of the tooth, and you like I used to wiggle them around and like spin them like full 360 and shit, and then they would like come out, and you just feel that like euphoric bliss, and then you fuck around with it with your tongue for a bit. I feel like that's what it probably is. That exact feeling.
Somewhere right now, Court is just trembling with teeth
quivering with shivering his timbers, teeth clattering together. Not his own, the ones that he has in the bag.
Cultists, on the other hand, are those who have fully embraced the worship of the Lord of Decay. They do not spread their faith in whispers, but in the choking stench of rot and the slow, inescapable spread of plague. Their devotion manifests in bloated, ruined flesh and pestilent gifts. Their every breath a carrier of pestilence. They do not conspire in shadow, but revel openly in the inevitability of entropy, laughing amidst filth and ruin. Whether renegade or cultist, all who serve Nurgle know one truth. Nothing escapes his grasp. For all things break down, and in that decay they are made whole. So, I got some cool examples here of different mortal followers, not the cool stuff, not Space Marines and stuff. Poxwalkers are a big thing. Let's start with them because they got some uniqueness to them.
Poxwalkers are the wretched, rotting servants of Nurgle, often found alongside the cult of Decay in battle. Victims of the walking pox, a disease crafted by Nurgle, their bodies rot while they remain cruelly conscious, trapped in decaying flesh. With a rictus grin, these beings stagger mindlessly, seeking out living flesh to feast upon. The walking pox, a variant of Nurgle's rot, causes mutations even after death, sprouting horns or spikes like those of the plague bearers. In combat, poxwalkers are slow and clumsy, but incredibly resilient. Able to withstand tremendous damage, their grotesque groans can damage the souls of nearby beings, spreading the infection further. In large numbers, they overwhelm enemies, ripping and gnawing their victims in a frenzy of mindless violence. The walking pox spreads through the air, liquids, and even tainted stimulants. Infected individuals first enter a groaner stage, suffering from disease, hunger, and cold, driven by unnatural forces. They become desperate for warmth and flesh, attacking anything alive. After dying and rising again, they mutate into full poxwalkers, often sprouting horns, extra eyes, or tentacles. These creatures lose their humanity, their groans replaced with growls and snarls as they hunt for their next meal. So they do what you do with the chickens, and then
They're my people.
the maybe the real poxwalkers were the friends we made along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
I think it's cool that they have these zombie dudes who go "Arr," and then they start growling more.
Yeah.
But like
and then
I
they like turn into them eventually, slowly, more and more, grosser and grosser, until they become like this like lesser demon creature.
yeah. Also, are they still like when it says conscious, does that mean like fully like human conscious or like awake?
Yeah, like I think it's still kind of fully humanly conscious. Like that's kind of the blessing of Nurgle, is that kind of immortality aspect where where you can kind of live forever, even in these weird forms. A part of you still endures.
But would a poxwalker be somebody who accepted the gift of Nurgle? Like, do you
Yeah,
accept the Nurgle to be a poxwalker?
no, I think Poxwalkers specifically are anyone who's fallen to like Nurgle's rot. Um, they die to that and then they come back as this. It's like a very specific.
I mean, like, are they? Because they were saying earlier, like people who be like ascended daemonhood, they fully like morph into something more, right? They morph into his daemons, and even with other mortal beings, they come off as something else. Like,
Yeah.
is a poxwalker someone who dies to Nurgle and then comes back just because that's what it does? Like, you're sick and you're not fully like, that's why I feel like the consciousness idea and being trapped within their own bodies, like if you just accepted Nurgle, you wouldn't be trapped. But now they don't get a choice.
Yeah. Maybe it is that punishment too for some of them, where they didn't accept it, and now this is kind of that eternal slow torment.
Yeah, the hell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess maybe that's the better way to look at it. Like the plague walkers are like the hell, where going to the garden is more like the heaven, where it's like you're constantly being born and renewed, as opposed to just like this fucking.
God, what I wouldn't give to
The amount of money I would fucking give.
life, liberty, and happiness.
Back it.
All right, let's get into the next one here, Pestigores. They are the twisted offspring of beastmen, forever marked by the gifts of Grandfather Nurgle. These abominations dwell in the filth and decay of the plague planet within the Eye of Terror. Their bloated forms a testament to the unfathomable depths of corruption that Nurgle bestows upon his chosen. Swarming alongside the Death Guard and the Plague Fleet, they are the living manifestations of pestilence itself. Their bodies grotesque with sickness and rot, their skin cracked and broken, oozes a vile mixture of dry blood, pus, and filth, the very touch of which spreads affliction wherever they tread. But far from reviling their cursed state, the pestigores take a great pride in it. To them, every boil, every lesion is a mark of Nurgle's favor, a sign that they are blessed with the plague god's unending grace. They wear their afflictions as both armor and badge, boasting incessantly of the severity and the number of their diseases, as if to suffer more is to be favored more by their great rotter. Each gurgling cough, each painful festering wound is a declaration of their unyielding devotion to Nurgle's eternal decay. In the eyes of these beastmen, to be sick is to be powerful, for their condition is a holy corruption that will never fade. It's interesting. There's actually a lot of religions that practice asceticism. So basically, like the practice of depriving yourself or punishing yourself physically. There's some of it in Catholicism, but I think there's forms of Buddhism that do it too, and like Hinduism and stuff.
Would
but that's
fasting be from food be considered?
Fasting is asceticism, but like even like physically punishing yourself, like standing in one place for 24 hours or something like that. There in the Philippines, there's like a sect of Catholics who literally crucify themselves on Easter. They will get nailed to crosses and stuff like that, like a sign of devotion. Yeah.
The Jews will cut the tips of their penises off, so people do crazy things in the name of religion.
Hey, listen, how else do you think we make our wallets? All right, we need the leather from somewhere, and
yeah. And you ain't gonna use your coin purse to make a coin purse. I get you.
Exactly.
Okay,
So you just a little snip here and a little snip there.
Fuck. Okay. Yeah, Beastmen are fun. I really like the concept of Beastmen, man, and how we have these abhumans that are stable enough that you can know that's a Beastman. That's what Beastmen look like. That's what Beastmen do. They have their own cultures. But also they have this chaotic nature where all of them are very likely going to fall to one of the chaos gods and become a pestigore, a transgore, a gorgor, or a Nurgor, as the Nurgle one might be. Tell us about pestigores, Jordan.
I read everything. You're on Gellerpox.
Yeah, okay. I was thrown away by my Nurgle. Okay, Gellerpox. The Gellerpox is a vile, creeping plague birthed by the chaos god Nurgle. Its corruption spreading in the wake of the Great Rift's creation. The insidious disease targets the operators of the Geller Field's generators aboard the Imperium starship. Those few entrusted with safeguarding the vessels form the horrors of the warp. The infected, twisted by Nurgle's maleficence, form into warbands of horrid mutants known as the Gellerpox infected. At first, the Gellerpox manifest through disturbing, almost imperceptible dreams that invade the minds of the operators, manipulating their thoughts and suddenly urging them to tear down the very protections that they swore to maintain. Gradually, the infected sabotage the Gellerfields, loosening the wards that guard their ship. When the plague reaches a terrifying climax, the Gellerfield generators and their operators become one, a grotesque union that distorts the lower decks of the starships into horrific, pulsating bioorganic nightmares. From these festering hellscapes pour forth hordes of chaos mutants, breeding chaos in their wake. In the wake of this madness, Gellerpox cults spread across the galaxy, sowing further devastation in the wake. Yet the Gellerpox corruption knows no bounds. It does not merely ravage the flesh of humans, rodents, and parasites, but taints the very ships themselves. Entire vessels fall to the infection, their metal bones warped and the twisted by Nurgle's influence. At the height of an infestation, the Galapox reopens a minute rift into the warp, from which emerges glitchlings, writhing vile entities born from the confluence of decay, madness, and the accursed powers of chaos. Whew. What a disease.
Nurgle is fucking rad, dude.
Yeah, like this is just as much a disease of the mind as it is the body. Like it manipulates you. It makes you do the one fucking thing that you shouldn't do as one of these Gellerfield inspectors.
Well, like even then, it turns I thought it said it like turns the Gellerfield into its own portal. It takes that little chunk of reality that you hold so tight and fucking manifests it into a warp portal.
Yeah.
You know how horrifying that must be for everybody else? They're like, oh, we're good, we're safe. We got this whole like reality
We
shield
got this
thing.
whole system.
We're fine. We're fine. What do you mean it's letting in demons?
What do you mean the guys that were supposed to make sure that the wards were safe are taking down the wards? Why?
Wait,
Yeah.
they're spawning from our Gellerfields?
This is kind of an interesting disease that's happened. In lore, it's pretty recent. Like I think these guys came out around 8th edition, maybe 9th edition in Kill Team or whatever. But yeah, it's this kind of cool, unique new thing that's happened where, you know, back in 30K, these didn't necessarily exist. But as Chaos is like, how do I deal with these fucking Gellerfields and these warp devices? Well, this is one way of doing it. You make a disease.
Do other gods have Geller stopping processes? Like anti-Gellerfield systems?
This is the only one that I've heard of that kind of does something like this. And you know, obviously, the when you go into the warp and you're in the ship, you feel uneasy and your dreams are almost nightmarish in the first way anyways. You almost feel that scratching at the back of your mind. And that could be the chaos gods of any type whispering in you, you know, telling you to turn that off.
But like this one uses it.
Yeah, like this is another level though. This is like it's not that whisper. Like now this is no longer a matter of willpower. This is a matter of you've been corrupted and you're doing it.
Yeah. I want to be a Gellerpox.
Oh, you would be a good Gellerpox too. Look
I
how
would
willing you
let
are.
them all in. I would let them all in. They deserve it. But it's cold outside. If you're cold, they're cold.
If you're cold, they're cold. Let the Geller into your heart.
Let the Geller into your heart. Parasites more like super cool dudes. Am I right, fellas? Oh.
You guys are just Nurgle iterators.
Hey, man. Nurgle, more like my guy.
More like
you
my
know?
bro.
My broski. You know? One sick pestering pus-filled individual to another.
Pretty neat guy.
Pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
You know, I like preaching for Nurgle, and on that note, let's talk about Pox priests and Pox brewer cultists. Pox priests are devoted cultists of Nurgle, wielding the unholy power to amplify diseases to unimaginable virulence. These foul servants of decay can summon the plague god's blessings, corrupting and festering the very air they breathe, turning every breath into a weapon of pestilence. Plague brewers, likewise servants of Nurgle, share this vile talent. They brew plagues of horrific potency, their foul concoctions spreading sickness and decay wherever they are unleashed. In their hands, disease becomes a tool of corruption, an unstoppable force that thrives in decay, devouring all life in its wake. Pox priests and pox brewers will be scattered across most cults in one name or form of a similar sort.
Yeah, cool. So whether you're a pestigore, part of an Imperial Guard regiment, these kind of pox priests and pox brewers kind of always spring up. You know, you always need that guy in charge of the concoction that everyone's drinking, the Kool-Aid man.
Oh my god.
We love Kool-Aid men.
We do.
We are the real Kool-Aid. No, never mind.
The real Kool-Aid's the people we drank along the
The
way.
people we drank along the way. I had a joke and then it was gone, and you got it. I passed it to you through the warp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So here's some more cool cultists, including the 14th Volpone Blue Bloods. I was looking for stuff specifically Nurgle-y for sure. And yeah, these guys fit the bill.
Yeah, so the Volpone Blue Bloods, they're a traitorous regiment of the Imperial Guard, now devoted fully to the plague god Nurgle. After months of ceaseless warfare, disease, and slaughter, excuse me, at the hands of the Death Guard warband known as the Putrid Choir, the 14th Volpone Blue Bloods, broken and battered, reached the end of their endurance. With their morale shattered by the ever-present stench of decay and their bodies ravaged by the slow spread of pestilence, they called upon Nurgle in their desperation, begging for relief from the sickness that consumed them. In his infinite malice, the plague god granted their plea, but with a cruel twist. Every seventh soldier was spared only to be marked by Nurgle's foul blessing. These wretched souls became grotesque, bloated creatures of disease, their bodies teeming with infectious filth, their anguished wails and the stench of decay driving their comrades to madness. In the grip of guilt and horror, the Blue Bloods turned their weapons upon the afflicted. Their former comrades now little more than pestilent spawn. Ultimately, the regiment cast aside their humanity and embraced the corrupting touch of Nurgle, joining forces with their Death Guard tormentors, forever sealed in their damnation.
What a cool curse.
Isn't 7 Nurgle's number?
Yeah. It's like every 7th guy, I'm gonna give him something heinous, and you guys are gonna thank me for it.
It's kind of weird. Like, I kind of don't understand when he punishes people. Like, it's like, why they're giving themselves up. Like, it seems wrong.
You know, Nurgle, he's got that good PR team where we like to think he's a benevolent type god, but he's not. He gets joy out of causing affliction and suffering as well. That is part of it.
I guess I got to take the good with the bad, you know. I just
you know, we don't get to choose the Chaos Gods and what they are. We just get to choose this one we worship.
But he's so cool.
That's just his love language, though. Like, I don't think that I'm a Nurgle sycophant, so I don't think he ever punishes. I think he only loves his children.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nurgle. Touch cannot be your love language anymore.
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna, if Nurgle and me were in a relationship, I think I would call for a pizza that is drunk and angry, very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he would really love me though.
I think he'd treat you well until you're used up.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, you know, like while you're there, you're at your peak, and then as soon as you're like not there, you got a black eye because you fell down the stairs, and then you got another one because you hit a door. And it's your fault, really.
That's more Nurgle's love. Yeah, he's gaslighting all his fucking followers this whole time, giving diseases, punching them in the eye. No, I'm doing it for you.
No,
they'd be dead if it wasn't for me.
They hit the door. They didn't. He would never hit us. He would never hit us.
All right, the Cult of Amber. The Cult of Amber was devoted to chaos and the sect of Nurgle, thriving in the Corvus subsector during the latter days of M40. For millennia, the Cult of Amber festered on the secluded world of Uncoitus, their beliefs growing ever more twisted with time. They rejected the relentless march of the Imperium, condemning its rapid progression as far too swift. Instead, they embraced stagnation, desiring only the preservation of society in its current decaying state. The cult's followers were deeply entrenched in positions of power, from high-ranking politicians to PDF officers and bureaucrats, allowing them to weave their insidious influence throughout the planet's leadership. With their hearts set on bringing forth the god of immortalization, their civilization in a stagnant, eternal decay, the cult sought the arrival of the great Amber Lord, who, unknown to them, was none other than Nurgle, the plague god himself. As centuries passed, the cult's original desire for mere stagnation warped into a fanatical devotion of regression and decay. By the end of M40, the cult of Amber had fallen under the sway of Magister Anton Thrax, a high-ranking member of the Administratum. Armed with the dark sorceries of the cult and the auguries of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, Thrax orchestrated a coup against the ruling powers of Uncoitus. His coup culminated in the cataclysmic dark ritual, a conjunction of foul forces that birthed a warp storm known as the Crow's Eye. The storm tore through the very fabric of reality, heralding the arrival of the Lord of Amber. Nurgle powers surged into Uncoitus, reducing its people, including the cult of Amber, to the very bones. In recognition to his devotion, Thrax was transformed into a demon prince. Anthrax the Foeted. Fetid? Yet Nurgle's rival Chinch intervened, sabotaging the ritual before it could fully reach its potential. As a result, the planet of Uncoitus alone was consumed, transforming into a realm of decay and filth, a rotting testament to Nurgle's unyielding embrace. Yeah, that's a fun place. I like this cult of Amber where they kind of like are determined to not stagnate, or like kind of stagnate in their own way, like be locked away in this amber. Yeah.
I really like the fact that they named him Anthrax.
Yeah, fucking fun name for a Lord of Decay.
Well,
The band or the disease?
Both.
Both. Yeah, like let's be honest, like you gotta admit they play some sick guitar riff as he walks out on stage, because he's coming out on stage. Wait, so he was a high-ranking member of the Administratum, like of the planet, or like in general?
I don't know how much there is on that. How high up he really was.
Because I like that would be really interesting if it was like a high-ranking, like just in general, like he had access to shit.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. But then again, I get where this planet's coming from. You know, they don't have any sex, so they're very upset about it. Because the planet's name is Uncoitus.
Yeah. No, it would make me mad too, for sure.
Yeah. So I get where they're coming from. You know, 3 square meals? Nah. No pussy.
Nah, man. No pussy. Give me the fucking Nurgle's rot. Nurgle's rot or bust.
Treat me right. But you know, one thing about pussy is it does give life. Anyways, on that topic, the givers of life.
Awful, truly awful segue.
What? Everyone else is doing segues. I just wanted to be cool.
I just wanted to give it a try.
Yeah. The givers of life are one of the few Nurgle cults to rise to true prominence, granted such favor by the Death Guard's 4th Plague Company, alongside other such cults as the 7th Blessed and the Sevenfold Conjunction. They are collectively known by the Death Guard as the Gifted, and their rotting influence stretches deep into entire Imperium subsectors. These cults serve as the festering agents of their Death Guard masters, vessels of spiritual infection that spread the Plague God's influence with insidious precision. Posing as preachers, pilgrims, or minor officials, they infiltrate the worlds of the Imperium, wearing the masks of piety and humility once embedded in the heart of a world. They sow the seeds of decay, establishing new cult cells to further spread Nurgle's corrupting touch. These cells grow like a cancer, nurturing the imperial populace into worshipping the plague god, until the stage is set for the arrival of their Death Guard overlords. With the world now primed by the givers of life, the Death Guard descend, their invasion ensuring that the infestation is complete, and the Imperium is forever tainted by the gift of decay. Again, completely just mid thing to do. They send dudes down to start a cult, and they start the cult, and then they overthrow the populace.
It's just a fun way to live.
I'm just saying, who's stealing from who? Because obviously 40k likes stealing from everybody else, so clearly insiders in 40k have to steal from everybody inside of 40k.
Even 40k is not safe from 40k. I get it.
Man.
Yeah, this is a fun cult. Like, I like the Givers of Life just because it gives that a highlight to that other aspect of Nurgle, that life aspect, where it'd be very easy to trick a bunch of people in the Imperium to join a cult where they're like, yes, we're going to provide life and hope and blessing and renewal. And then meanwhile, it's just, yeah, not at all that.
It's technically
well, it is.
Renewal.
It technically is, but
Jordan, can you please push up your glasses for me so that way I can actually for thank you. Actually, it's not what you said. So.
All right, let's get into the vile servants. They are a chaos cult devoted to Nurgle, born from a Geller field malfunction on a hospital ship near the Eye of Terror. As the warp filled the vessel with disease, Nurgle's plague possessed the crew, transforming them into the first vile savants. These foul entities spread their demon virus wherever they go, sowing decay in Nurgle's name. The savants are bloated, decaying horrors, wearing biocontaminant suits to hold their putrid forms together. Once human, now possessed by the demon virus, they retain the skills and memories of their former selves. Driven by hatred for all life, they relentlessly spread their infection, particularly targeting the bitter and despairing. These single-minded demons cannot be reasoned with or stopped once their plague begins. The Fide strain, the demon plague they carry, progresses in stages, initially infecting one individual. The disease appears dormant before rapidly spreading. As it manifests, victims suffer fever, flux, and gruesome death. Reanimated as the cunning predators, the infected become agents of the plague, seeking to infect more. Once enough are consumed, reality itself warps, summoning Nurgle's demons, including the vile savants, to control the infection. The savants leave when the planet is nearly purged, only to begin their corruption anew.
You can kind of get really creative with the diseases you come up with. You could come up with all the different stages of development and stuff. And then the end stage of this one, which was pretty cool, where it literally just opens up a warp rift.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Neat.
It is sort of interesting how, like, I don't know how to say it, but like biological Nurgle is. Like, it feels very real space, but at the same time, it couldn't be that way if it wasn't for the warp, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like we all get sick.
Yeah.
It's like such a real thing for us.
But we all don't get warp AIDS. You know, that would require something more.
I mean, hypothetically, in the 41st or even the 31st millennium, you could like design these types of diseases in a lab, right? Like they should be that advanced, but obviously Nurgle wouldn't need a lab, and he could probably do it a lot faster.
He's got it in a pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurgle made these in a pot in the cave.
And all of man's glory couldn't do it in a lab.
I love the fact that they became the very thing they swore to destroy. All of these people started out as like hospital crew.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was probably they probably started in a lab on Wuhan on Terra or something.
Probably, yeah.
oh my god, that was A lot of good jokes tonight. I really
a lot of deep cuts there.
Yeah.
Deep cuts.
And they were on that hospital ship and they had a pangolin.
Yeah.
Oh no. One of them fucked that poor pangolin, didn't they?
The beast fucker from earlier. Oh my god. Everything
And
is
we've
full circle.
Yeah. Yikes.
Just
All
like
right, the
Nurgle's
last
rot. Sorry.
the last cult we'll get to is the writhing world of the Sorcerer Kings. The writhing world Sorcerer Kings are biomancer psychers who reign over the decaying planet known as the writhing world. A grotesque realm within the screaming vortex, this world is a nightmare of undulating tendrils of flesh. It is home to the primitive humans who stumble across the vast, rotting landscapes under the cruel dominion of these twisted biomancer lords. Yeah, the planet is just a flesh planet. So you're walking around on the flesh planet, it's squelching under your steps. It's all just nightmare fuel. But at the pinnacle of the power of the Sorcerer Kings, mighty psychers who command citadels of grotesque living flesh that slither and crawl across the planet's surface. These vile rulers, bound to the decay of the world, occasionally venture beyond their corrupting dominion, striking bargains with vessels that traverse the endless void. Their reasons for leaving are unknown, but their formidable arcane knowledge and immense power make them dangerous yet vulnerable allies. Despite the threat of harboring such abominations, their dark influence is often sought after in the grim underbelly of the galaxy. Yeah, just flesh planet, man. You know, there's no real limits to Nurgle's blessings. If he wants to turn you into a giant bulbous flesh tentacle planet, blessed be he.
Yeah, blessed be thy Nurgle. Man, Nurgle is rad. Maybe like
Is this the fate for you?
I think so. You know, I've been having a lot of issues with religion, and this Nurgle guy, he's really speaking to me.
Wow.
We got reincarnation, we got AIDS. I could
good things.
I could be named Herpes. I don't know. But like
no. Herpes is taken, man. You gotta find your own name.
Fuck. All right.
You have fornicating with animals.
You could fuck dogs. You could fuck monkeys. Apparently, and
you can drink human sludge.
You could drink the human sludge. The black ooze. Where does it come from? Where does it go? Cotton Eye Joe, which is also an STD song, by the way. Full circle. Once again,
oh man,
God, I love Nurgle, and you
know,
a
Nurgore definitely wrote that Cotton Eye Joe song.
Yeah, man, and he sings it all night. You know what else rhymes with night? Night houses.
Oh man, I feel like you're intentionally doing bad transitions, but also, what do you do?
Well, listen. I've never made a transition before, so. I feel like, the pussy one was slapped. That one was great.
I never. Yikes.
That one was good. Well, sometimes they like it, but that's a Selashi episode.
That's the next one.
The night houses. Okay, that was a bad pun, but anyways, when an Imperial night house. When an Imperial night house succumbs to the festering embrace of Nurgle, their once majestic war machines becoming hulking behemoths of rot and ruin, their towering forms bloated with disease and filth, these fallen houses cast aside their noble heraldry, their banners now tattered and stained with filth of unending decay. Their knights, once symbolizing unyielding honor, now lumber towards lumber forward with the inevitability of a spreading plague. Their corroded armor, fused with putrid flesh, covered in rusted pockmarks and oozing sores. Gone are the pristine sigils of their past. In their place, the sigils of the plague god fester and pulse, crawling with swarms of carrion flies. Their weapons, once precise instruments of destruction, have become slow but devastating, vomiting streams of caustic bile, plague-infested shells, and pestilent gases that choke the life from entire battlefields. Some wield cannons that erupt with virulent spores, while others swing rusted, cracked blades that do not cut cleanly, but infect, turning even the smallest wound into a festering death sentence. On the battlefield, these fallen knights do not fight with speed or cunning, but with relentless endurance of decay itself, marching forward, uh, heedless of pain or damage. They are not merely war machines, they are the creeping hand of entropy, the heralds of a future where all things rot, and in their ruin find eternal peace. I'm just saying, at least you don't have to fuck your sister anymore to like keep the bloodline pure.
Now it's actually encouraged.
Now, yeah, exactly.
Dirty that
Like,
bloodline. Bring grandma.
yeah. She could still throw it back. I mean, she had that hip replacement.
Down.
I want to see what that double hip replacement can do. You know, praise Nurgle,
how
praise fucking monkeys, praise fucking grandmas. I'm just saying, like, you know,
throw them all in the cockpit of an Imperial Knight at once, and whoever walks out's the victor and gets to keep all the corpses.
It gets to keep them. To do what with?
Oh, we know. Keep the bloodline dirty.
Keep the bloodline dirty. Fuck a peasant. Blessed be all, man.
I think we need some Lorehammer legal on the double here.
Yeah, Lorehammer legal's not gonna like this one, but Trevor Buzak, I'm sorry, buddy. This is on.
You taking the fall? Oh fuck! I need an alias. My name is Jax Carnage.
Fuck that guy. I did find one cool Imperial Knight house. We're running out of time. I'll just read what was cool about it. They rust with ferric blight, and ferric blight is like just literally rust. So their knights kind of rust, and then that rust will bleed into them, and then they will start to kind of rust into their machine, and it's just kind of this like rust blight that affects humans.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Iron within, iron without.
Yeah, man. I guess humans have metal inside of you, so maybe like that rust and that really fucks you up. Yeah, man. Neat science and whatnot. I hear.
Yeah.
Speaking of rust, should we continue with the Rust Hounds? They are a renegade knight's house, irreversibly twisted by Nurgle's influence. Once a proud force from House Krast, they fought valiantly against the Death Guard warband Pallid Hand of the war-torn world of Chembach. Despite enduring relentless barrages of blight launcher fire, the knights emerged victorious, their mighty steeds standing strong. However, the victory came at a terrible price. The foul grip of ferric blight slowly overtook their machines and flesh alike. As the infection spread, it corrupted both the throne mechanicums and the warriors who rode them, body and soul. No longer whole, they renamed themselves the Rust Hounds, a reflection of their decay. Now these knights, their metal and sinew eroded by rot and rust, embark on a relentless hunt seeking the souls of their former allies, forever bound to the dark god of disease and decay.
I like to think that these guys can like smell rust in the air of like other machines as they're degrading. Like that's like their tracking system, you know?
Yeah, I do like that thing sort of incorporate rust itself, because it's not always something you think about in terms of like death and decay, but it's definitely true. Rust is
like just imagine rusting the metal in your bloodstream, and now you got rust in your bloodstream. Like tetanus, you just got super tetanus.
Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the Rust Hounds names?
Super tetanus? Yeah, I think so. Herald of Rust.
Blessed be thy rust.
Blessed be thy rust.
Rust within, rust without.
Let's jump to Titan Legions. Nurgle's Titan Legions are not towering engines of change, but vast lumbering behemoths of rot and ruin, where the might of the god machines are corroded and swollen with the unrelenting touch of the plague god. These titans do not evolve or twist with whimsy. They endure. Their rusted hulks thick with unholy resilience. Their massive forms bloated with disease, their reactor cores pulsing like infected wounds. The machine spirits within, once proud and unyielding, have been consumed by a sluggish, unshakable will, their final thoughts drowned beneath the gurgling laughter of Grandfather Nurgle. Unlike their untainted kin, these titans are not mere war machines, but walking plague engines, each step a crackling of earth and spreading a foul miasma that seeps into every crevice of the battlefield. That's a cool image of like when they step down and the earth like cracks, like the gunk and the ooze from the Titan's foot just like seeps into the soil and turns it. It just kills it, you know? Yeah. The weapons do not burn or blast with precision, but spread filth and contagion, belching forth torrents of necrotic bile, clouds of infectious spores, and shells that burst into seething pools of corruption. Their armor, seemingly ruined and falling apart, absorbs punishment with grotesque resilience, rust and decay knitting together with each blow. To face one does not stand up against the unknown future, but against the inescapable truth of entropy. These titans are not instruments of war. They are creeping hands of decay made manifest. They're harbingers of slow, choking doom from which there is no escape. Yeah, fucking tight. I love Knights and Titans, and just thinking of the Titans and their giant smokestacks on the back of them that is normally a plasma generator is this weird, like, diseased, warped plasma generator that's now belching out green smoke that you choke on. Like, oh, yes.
And the big horn that they have, like the big war horns, are all like gross and guttural and.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the guttural. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and just the bell, too, for Nurgle, just clanging.
Yeah.
The war bell.
That would
Fucking
be
tight.
so nice.
Yeah. Fucking tight.
I'm really starting to like this Nurgle guy.
Yeah, man.
So onto the lesser beings, Xenos followers. Xenos who fall to Nurgle's embrace are as wretched and enduring as the god they revere, their civilizations rotting from within, as they surrender to the slow inevitability of decay. These alien devotees do not seek knowledge or ambition, they embrace stagnation, their cultures steeped in the filth of resignation, finding solace in the quiet certainty that all things wither, all flesh festers, and all empires crumble. The plague god's touch reshapes them, not with sudden change, but with creeping corruption, their bodies bloated with disease, their technology rusting into stubborn, unyielding husks that refuse to break. Nurgle's gifts to these Xenos are not of power or conquest, but of endurance, immune to pain, unbothered by suffering, and unrelenting in the face of war. Entire species become living incubators of plague, spreading their infections like missionaries of despair, welcoming all into the loving decay of Grandfather Nurgle's domain. Some wield weapons that ooze virulent toxins. Others fight with diseased bodies that refuse to die, their necrotic wounds weeping but never closing. Yet despite their grotesque state, they are content, for they have accepted the truth that there is no future, only the slow inevitable embrace of rot.
I like to think about the different Xenos that follow Nurgle, and I think about the filthy fucking looking Xenos, and each one turns into a Nurgle follower in my mind because they're all gross and filthy.
Yeah, they're all wrong and not made in God's image.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about earlier this episode, the Necron turn, how they would have been great patron followers of Nurgle, if Nurgle was around back in the day with their corrupted, diseased, radiated bodies. They're sickly. They would have been a prime candidate. They pretty much made the same deal Nurgle offers, but with a Satan instead. We'll take your pain away. Here's a new body, but we eat your soul.
They wouldn't even get a new body. They would just keep the old one.
Yeah,
that would have been, and that would be cool.
It'd be cool to see maybe like a small dynasty or something that escaped and somehow that happened.
Or even like you could just do modern Necrons. They get rusted and they accidentally break to Nurgle.
Sure. Yeah, I suppose.
And that's how they regain their
metal
humanity.
serves Nurgle. Yeah, why not?
Well, you could make it like regain their humanity. They become like Necron again, and as soon as they do, boom, Nurgle.
Fuck. Nurgle every time.
You love to see it.
Yeah.
Blessed be Nurgle.
Blessed be he. We talked about maybe Herud being a Nurgle creature or Xenos. I like to think that, with their whole entropy and decay and stuff, and they definitely feed Nurgle, but they're not actually worshippers, I don't think, of Nurgle. It's one-sided, this relationship, it seems.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would like to talk more about Herud eventually. Maybe we'll do an episode. Some people have been asking me to redo the minor Xenos episodes, but like do the main minor Xenos. So maybe we'll touch on Herud in more detail soon enough.
I was thinking you meant like the full thing where you just like, and they died. Anyways.
No. There are many good ones. As much as I like talking about Xenos getting obliterated, there's so many good ones like the Rakghoul and the Kroot and the Yuvath and a whole bunch of fun ones.
The Crotalids.
Crotalids are...
God, we love them. Let's do a whole episode, 2 hours on Crotalids.
you son of a bitch, I'm in. Well, honestly, that's this episode. I did have some notable characters, but it's Typhus and Corpalax, and they deserve their own episode. As always, they always deserve their own. So
soon TM.
Soon TM. Know that we know, and now you know we know, so you don't have to message me that you need to know about them.
You can message Jordan instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely help you out with that.
Yeah. James Complaints at gmail.com is also always available. I know we haven't had James on in a bit, but that man is still alive and answering emails, so you can message him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you keep him next to Jordan now?
The chains aren't long enough for them to like make eye contact with each other, but definitely they can hear each other screams and whatnot.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
we are in the
not
same
lonely.
basement.
Yeah, same basement, different room.
That's good. You love to see it, Don't.
Yeah. And soon you too, Jack. You might find yourself in the third room in that basement.
Oh, could we get one of those like those petting zoo feeder things where you put like a quarter in and then like all the kibble falls out of the thing?
No, you have to eat out of my hand.
Well, that's what you put the quarter in, you spin it, and you get it all in your hand, and then.
Yes, okay, I'm in. Well, that's filthy. That's the most disgusting thing we've said all episode, to be honest with you, is just the thought of you guys eating food out of my hand.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the worst. That's nothing
abhorrent.
Even close to that at all. Yeah.
Oh man, what a fun episode of Lorehammer. Nurgle's fun, man. Like, it's this weird spot where like you don't want to fall to Nurgle, but you get afflicted with disease or you get pain, and you just want that escape, and you can't fight it. It's inevitable. He wants you.
Want to fight it? Like I
You
don't know. That pain's kind of, but then you got to go on this weird thing where is the pain kind of hot because then you're into Slaanesh and
maybe maybe you want to be shit on when you're being something else, but that's neither here nor there. I think,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see young Seth.
None of us are Germans here. None of us are German, so we don't like being shit on. Or do they do piss more? You know what? We'll talk about that one at a later date.
That's a bonus episode, a Nurgle bonus episode.
Bonus episode, kinks around the world.
Yeah. Our STDs, Slaanesh or Nurgle. STDs are the love child of Slaanesh and Nurgle.
I feel like we've had this debate a couple
Yeah.
times before. Yeah.
For sure. But that's what the chat wanted to know. But no, I think we're wrapping up this show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Next episode, we're gonna do Korn and his followers. I'm sure we're gonna dig up some weird little information. So, like, I just like looking under these, like, this one cultist here. Like, what new information does this bring to the world, or allow me to play with, or okay, let's create this disease. So, I really like doing these kind of episodes where you kind of just get a whole splattering of different things. If you want to buy something, go to Merlin's Miniatures. Use promo code Lorehammer. You can go buy your own Nurgle Cultist or Death Guard or whatever you're into. And don't forget to come check out the Lorehammer Listen to Lore podcast. You can submit your homebrew lore, and I'll read it off.
Jordan, do you want to?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I've been thinking about starting my own podcast. Stealing from this podcast's viewer base, if at all possible.
That's the
if
goal.
You like dinosaurs, if you like not liking bad dinosaurs, please DM me your favorite dinosaurs. And when I do inevitably start a podcast about dinosaurs, I will talk about your favorite dinosaur. I promise you, it'll be a long conversation. There's a lot to talk about.
Will there be any?
Can you do a crossover Warhammer dinosaurs?
I actually, unironically, I had this entire conversation with Mark.
Okay.
Because the fucking the Eldars that ride on the Eldaris that ride on dinosaurs and shit.
Yeah.
Are they megalopods or cephalopods? We'll find out.
Well, never mind. Yeah, no, we'll find out.
One of those isn't real.
But anyways,
yeah,
no,
man. Dino lore. People were joking about it on the last episode.
Yeah, I can't take that name. No, apparently somebody wrote a kid's book, so I was going to do a beginner's guide to dino lore.
Okay, there we go. Just
yeah, steal a book from you guys.
Yeah, change the name a couple episodes into something
better. Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
Dino Hammer.
Yeah, for the archaeology, because you gotta
you chisel that shit out.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, yeah, go check that out if it's a thing.
And obviously, as we say every time me and Christian are here, Star Lords podcast, the best Star Wars podcast on the holonet. That's Star Lords with an L. So go check that out. And I also wanted to give a big shout out to Looper Call, who edited this episode. If you're listening to it on the podcast, big thanks to him. You can go check out his Twitch and Instagram on the Looper Call TV, all one word. And you can find him there. So go give him some love and thank him for helping us out here.
Yeah, thanks so much. And
love you, Loopy Poopy.
Yeah, and don't forget to join the Patreon. Throw us a couple bucks, get ad-free version. And we'll see you all next week on the next episode. We're doing Korn's Cult of Blood, I think. Adios.
See ya.
Hasta la vista.